Hello friends, welcome to Anand Learning Studio. In this video of our series Python Basic to Advanced, we will be going to learn about loops. And the first loop which we will be learning about is the Python's for loop. Now in Python we have two different type of loops, a for loop and a while loop. And in this tutorial we will be covering about the for loop. Now first of all, why we need a loop and what a loop is? A loop, as the name suggests, it's kind of an repetitive process. Okay, so you start and then you reach to a certain particular end and again you start from the beginning. So that certain kind of loop we are talking about in Python. So suppose if you have to do a certain repetitive task, or suppose you have to do a certain task 1000 number of times, the same task. Okay, so like if I will ask you, hey, print hello world, you will say print hello world. Now if I'll ask you, hey, print hello world 10 times, so maybe you will write print hello world once and then you will copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Fine. 10 times doing copy paste is also fine. But if I'll ask you, hey, print hello world for 1000 times, now maybe even the copy paste will not be sufficient, and that's like a very repetitive task. The same task you will be doing iteratively in those scenarios where we have to do certain tasks again and again based on some conditions, then the loop comes in handy. In Python's for loop, we basically iterate over a sequence. Okay, that sequence can be anything, a list, tuple, or a string, or a range function. Okay, and then for each iteration we will be doing certain actions, and that actions we will be defining by the block of the for loop. So this tutorial will be covering the basics of the for loop, and we will be using different sequences where we can use for loop. Maybe like I will show you how to use a for loop with a list, maybe string, a dictionary, how to use the range functions and all those things. Okay. Now the basic syntax of a for loop is like this: for an item in sequence, and then you will have the code to execute, that is your block, for block. Here what will happen, the sequence. Okay, this sequence will be anything like it should be an iterative one. It can be a list, it can be a tuple, it can be a string. Okay, it can be a range function, anything like that. So you have to take a sequence, and then on that sequence you will be iterating. And how you will be iterating? For is a keyword, in is a membership operator, and then item. So what will happen? So this item, what it will do, this item in every iteration, it will hold the value. So suppose the sequence is like here in this first example, where we are trying to iterate over list. So here we have a list of three elements. Okay, apple, banana, and cherry. And now when I'm saying for fruit in fruits, in every iteration, so iteration will start with the first element. It will check whether there are elements in fruits or not. If yes, it will pick the first element. In iteration, it will not pick up the index. So fruit will not, in the first iteration, fruit will not have the value of index, that is 0, 1 or 2, like that. Here in Python, the fruit, this variable, will have the value of the members directly. Okay, so in this case, when the loop will start in the first iteration, the value of the fruit will be apple. So when you will be trying to print fruit, you will get apple. Then there is no further code. Again, it will go to the loop. Is there any more members? Yes. What is the next member? That will be assigned to fruit. So next member is banana. Then again it will go to and execute the block of for. So it will print fruit and that banana will come out. Now again it will check whether we have any more members in the for sequence. Yes, there is one more, and again it will start the iteration, and now the fruit will have a value of cherry. It will print cherry, and now it will check whether you have any more members. No, so loop will terminate, loop will start, and then the remaining part of code will obviously follow. So this loop will check for the elements in the elements in the sequence, and for each element it will run the iteration, and in each iteration it will hold the value of the element it is referring to. Okay, a member of that sequence basically. So let's execute this example, and now you can see apple, banana, and cherry was printed out. Now if you have a string, again string is a sequence of characters. So suppose you have is like message hello, and now for each letter in the message, okay, string is a sequence of characters. So in every iteration, till the times you have characters in the string, till the times all the character of the string is not covered, So iteration will keep on running, and in every iteration, this later, this variable, this is a variable number. You can keep I, J, K, anything, or you can keep something meaningful, so that someone is reading your code and he will be able to understand what you are trying to refer here. So for letter in message, again I'm repeating, in string you will be iterating over the elements of the string. Okay, so remember, so you like sometimes there is a confusion that in list we were having some strings only, but all the strings were the members of the list. So in every iteration, when you were referring to, like fruit was referring to a member, so it was having the whole member. It was not having like A, P, P, L, E like this. No, it was referring the whole member, apple. In this case, when you are iterating over a string, this is a sequence of characters. So keep in mind, when you will be iterating over the string, for letter in message, in every iteration, letter will be referring to the members of the string. Okay, now let's execute this, and so in every iteration, letter will be each of the letter will be printed out. So you can see HELLO is printed out. Now we can see that we can access the members directly, but what if we want to access the indexes or anything like, or what if we want to create a sequence? Okay, like suppose if I'll ask, hey, print hello world 10 times. Now you have a condition, you have to print it for 10 times, but you don't have any sequence to refer to, so that your loop will run 10 times. In that case, in order to generate a sequence of numbers, you can use the range function. Okay, so now this range function generates a sequence of numbers, and now based on your numbers like 10 times, 100 times, 1000 times, whatever, you have to pass in that number, and it will be generating you a sequence of numbers. So range function is useful for iterating a specific number of times, and the range function obviously takes like three different arguments. So one is mandatory, you have to obviously either you can give range and then the stop only, or you can give range start and stop, range start stop, and step size. So let me quickly cover. So range stop means you have to give how many times, means what should be the end, what should be the end of the iteration. Like if I will ask you 10, so if you say range of 10, it will automatically generate you a sequence of 0 to 9, numbers from 0 to 9. Again, range function will is like a lazily evaluated. Once you will say range of 10, it will say, hey, I have generated a sequence of 0 to 9, but it will not print, it will not do anything. So in order to get that, you have to use loops or something like that, or you have to use maybe typecasting to a list, then only it will give you all the numbers. But until and unless, it will keep the sequence ready, but it will not store them in memory. Okay, so range of stop, like if you just want to generate a sequence from 0, so you can say range of stop means you can say range of 10, and it will give you 10 numbers from 0 to 9. If you want to generate from specific start point to a specific end point, like suppose you want to start from 101 to 200, then you will have to use this syntax range, and then you have to start as 101, stop as 200. And the third is step size. Step size, obviously we have learned in strings, in list, what step size is. Step size is how you want to increment. Okay, so suppose if you want to generate numbers from 100 to 200, but the numbers should be all the numbers should be 5 more than the previous, like 100, 105, 110, 115, 120. So in that case, you can do by defining step size of 5. So from start to stop, an iteration will be done, and the next number from start to stop will be based on step size. So step size will be added to the current start index, and then the next element will be generated. So let's see them with example. First of all, when I'm saying for I in range of 5, when I'm just passing in one parameter, it is considered as a stop index. So it will basically generate me a range of 0 to 4. Stop is exclusive. It is not an inclusive index. Okay, so it will give me a numbers from 0 to 4, and you can see when I will be printing I, in every iteration I will be referring to those numbers, and I will be getting 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. Let's execute it, and you can see the numbers printed out. The next case, when you want to start from a particular index and stop to a particular index, you can say for I in range of 2 to 6. So now in this case, it will generate numbers from 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, stop index is exclusive, it is not inclusive. So in this case, when you will be printing I, it will print you 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes. And then start, stop, and step size. So suppose you want to generate numbers from 1 to 10, but the number should be two more than, like 1, then 3, then 5, then like that. So in this case, you are defining the step size as 2. And now if you'll execute it, you will be getting 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So I hope you are clear with range function. Feel free to comment if you have any questions, and maybe I will try to create a separate video explaining range functions in detail, or any of your confusion is there. So I'll try to create a separate video to cover that confusion. Now let's see again how to iterate over a dictionary. Again, it's a very important concept. It's a very important thing. A dictionary have a lot of iterables. So when we were learning about dictionaries, there we have seen we can get a sequence of keys, we can get a sequence of values, and also we can get a sequence of items. Okay, so iterating over a dictionary is a good thing. So you can use a for loop to iterate. So you have suppose a dictionary where you have a name of student and then the grade, then again the name of student, then the grade, and then the name of student and a grade. And if you want to iterate over this dictionary, so you can iterate over the keys, you can iterate over the values, and you can iterate over the key value pairs. So either you can say for student in student grades means the name of the dictionary, this will also iterate only over the keys, or you can say student grades dot keys, both are same. So when you just want to iterate over keys, you can use dot keys, you cannot. Even if you are not using the dot keys thing, and simply you are saying for a student in students, it will be iterating over the keys. Okay, and now in every iteration, what will be the value of student? The key of the dictionary. So in the first iteration, the value will be Alice, because Alice is the first key, then Bob, then Charlie. Okay, then iterating over values. So how we are getting values of a dictionary? Using dot values method. Okay, if you have any confusion in dictionary, you can go and check my video on dictionary. I have dictionaries and also the functions or methods of a dictionary. So I have explained all these concepts in great detail over there. So coming back to this video, and when you are saying for grade in student underscore grades dot value, so it will return you a sequence of all the values in this dictionary. What are the values? A, B, and C. And now when you are iterating over over them, what you will be getting? You will be getting in the first iteration, you will be getting A, then B, and then C. And then again iterating over key and value pairs. So when you are saying iterating over key and value pairs, obviously you have to use items. So items gives you a sequence, and in each sequence you have a tuple which is having a key and value pair. So when you are saying, okay, so here if you want to say like this, here it can be two things. For item in student underscore grades dot items, print item. Okay, and then so here I'm just printing a empty line. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to first show you what will what will happen, what will be the output when we are using the dot items. So items, that will return you a tuple, okay, of key and value pairs. And here in this case, you are assigning the values of the tuples to the two variables. Since the tuple will be having two variables, two members inside that, so you are basically, this is called an unpacking of a tuple. You are assigning those two values into two different variables. So student will be getting the value, first value of the tuple, and grades will be getting the second value in the tuple. So in each iteration, items will be a tuple, and then you are just splitting those items into two variables, student and grade. So let's see the output, and it will make it more clearer to you. So the first output for print student gave you Alice, that is the key of your dictionary. Then the second was to iterate over values, and it gave you A, B, and C. Then next what we added the item. So you can see the item was a tuple, Alice A, Bob B, Charlie C. That is the key and value pairs. And then the third was splitting them up again, and then maybe printing out a formatted result. So Alice has secured a grade A, Bob has secured a grade of B, and Charlie a grade of C. So that's how you can iterate over a dictionary. Also, you can use a nested for loops. How to use a nested for loops? So means inside iteration you can again start another iteration, and then again in many DSA questions, like maybe in sortings, or maybe in pattern printing questions like stars and all those things, you might have seen or you will have to use these nested for loops. Okay, or maybe you can use a combination of while and for loop depending on the choice. So what you can do, you if suppose you have to run multiple iterations, like suppose you have in the first iteration you have to do certain task again 1,000 times, and in every iteration you have to do certain task again 1,000 times. Okay, so you can use this kind of nested for loop. So in each iteration the inner loop will run complete its own iteration. So what I'm saying, for I in range of 3, so I'm generating a sequence of 3 numbers 0, 1 and 2. What I'm doing, I am generating another loop, and what it will be doing, it is generating a sequence of 2 numbers 0 and 1, and what I'm printing the value of I and the value of j. So in the first iteration, what will be the value of I? 0. And for 0 I, what will be the values of j? 0 and 1. So in the first iteration it will print 0 0, then it will print 0 1. Then when the I value will increase, because this loop will run only 2 times, it will again go back and it will increase the I to 1. Okay, so now what it will do, again for I, when the value of I is 1, then again it will run the j for 2 times. Again it will start j for 0 and 1, so it will be giving 1 0 1 1. Okay, and then again once the inner loop will stop, it will go back to the outer loop and it will check whether there are more iterations. Yes, so in the next iteration the value of I will be 2, so it will come back and again it will execute the inner loop 2 times 0 and 1. So it will print the value of I will be 2 and j will be printed out 0 and 1. So we will get 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1 and 2 0 2 1. So that's how this nested for loop will be working. Okay, so you can see when the value of I was 0, the j loop iterated 2 times 0 and 1. When the value of I was 1, then again the inner loop iterated for 2 times 0 and 1, and then the value, when the value of I was 2, then again the j loop iterated 2 times and 0 1 was printed out. So that's how you can use nested loop, and maybe you can have another for loop inside it. You can do, but obviously for each loop it will increase the complexities. So that is again a separate concept where we have to understand, that is a DSA concepts, where we have to understand the time complexity and space complexity which a loop will be taking up. The next thing is break and continue statement. Now suppose you have a iterations, okay, but again you want to put a control on these iterations. Like suppose you know that your loop will be running for 10 times. Now what you want, okay, if my loop is hitting a particular condition, I want to break out, or if my loop is hitting a particular condition, I just want to skip that particular iteration. I will continue with the remaining iteration, but that particular iteration I want to skip. So in order to do that, in order to achieve that, we have two statements, that is a break and continue statements. So break, what it does, once the condition is met, it will terminate the loop completely. And what continue will do, it will skip the rest of the code inside the for loop whenever that condition will be met, but it will be done only for the current iteration, and then again the remaining iterations will continue. Like here in this example, when I'm saying for I in range of 5, if I equals to 3, so when my iteration will start, if this condition is met, I am saying break out of the loop. If this condition is not met, keep on printing. Okay, so in this case you will see you will be getting the number 0, because when the in the first iteration when the number will be 0, this if block will be false and it will not go inside, it will print 0. Then in case of 1 it will print 1, in case of 2 it will print 2, in case of 3 this if statement will become true and it will break the loop. But in continue, if you are saying the same thing for I in range of 5, if I equals to 3, continue, what it will do, when the I is 3, it will just skip that particular iteration. It will skip the remaining code in that iteration. So that particular print will not be executed, but it will go to the next iteration. So break stopped iterating when I was 3. Continue will continue execution, only this only the iteration for 3 will be skipped out. So let's execute it. So you can see you got number 0 1 2 and iteration stopped. In this case you will be getting 0 1 2 4, but 3 will be skipped out. So that's what break and continue does, it just controls the flow of your iterations. Okay, basically if you want to break or you want to skip the iteration, you can use break and continue. So yeah, for loop is again a very powerful tool for iterating over sequences, and you have to learn, you can practice it, and once you gain the mastery of loops, like the life will be very easy. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share to my channel. Thank you. Let's meet in another video.